Pulled up, made my appearance. You can't sit with us without clearance. That lame shit, never let it near us. And your girl will choose my team cause you still living with your parents.
Welcome to NPR Presents the Commissioner's Corner. It's been a long time coming since the last Commissioner's Corner. But without further ado, I go by your host and commissioner of the Commissioner's Corner, also the NPR Fantasy Football League, Commissioner Bo. Yes, yes. Everybody file in, welcome in. Hey, I love doing these commissioners' corners right here. Just a little bit of teaching that goes along with fantasy football. I love diving deeper into fantasy football as the season goes on. So, like the ticker says below, please catch the commissioners' corner weekly. Definitely going to try to do this weekly. Right before game day, and it's funny because today is game day. Kansas City Chiefs versus the Super Bowl winning Kansas City Chiefs. Um, they're on a quest, man, trying to three-peat. But they're versus the Baltimore Ravens later today, later on this evening at 7 p.m. Eastern on NBC or Peacock. So you just check your local listings, and I'm ready to check that game out, man. Fantasy football is back. Football in general is back. It's time to plug and play your players NPR league. So and I mean people around the world that love playing fantasy football. It's time to plug and play. Let's get it. But without further ado, with that all being said, man, let's dive into a new episode of the Commissioner's Corner. Why fantasy football players can be impatient. Man, oh man, this is a big one. This is a big topic that I love. I love that I can bring to you guys today, and gals. So this is one of those topics that you find yourselves what have you, whether you're in your chat rooms, whether your fantasy league is amongst each other in the same city, in the same area, and you guys able to call each other, you guys able to text each other, and you try to make these deals, these trades, or what have you. In our league, we do a lot of draft pick trading. This is our second year that we've implemented draft pick trading in a redraft league. So that's very interesting. To the point where a lot of guys are already asking for a keepers league, dynasty leagues, where draft pick trading is definitely a hit thing in those two respected leagues. But why fantasy football players can be impatient. And when I said be impatient, that is obviously what I'm talking about is being impatient when it comes to the beginning of the year, wanting to trade players right even before the season starts. You really don't know uh, how, especially rookies, you don't know how they're going to pan out, if they're even going to be good. I mean, for the likes of like a player like CJ Stroud last season, um, he boomed. Players like Devon A. Chain, he boomed. You know what I'm saying? Then you got your bus players that that fall in suit too. So let's dive a little bit deeper into this. Like I said, why fantasy football players can be impatient, especially while trading or while making moves. Like now, the season starts tonight, granted, but right now, right after drafting, right after whenever your league started to draft, and then that draft was over, the trades start rolling in, the proposals start rolling in. So people are already in your inboxes, people are already texting your phones, people are already calling you, looking for those deals to make their team better. But let's dive a little bit deeper into it. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Why fantasy football traders can be impatient. Fantasy football traders can be impatient for several reasons. Several reasons. Primarily, the nature of fantasy football is inherently competitive, which with each participant striving to outperform their rivals on a weekly basis. This pressure can lead to impatience, especially when a team is over or underperforming or plagued by injuries. Additionally, the rapid pace of the NFL season, with constant injuries, breakout performances, and fluctuating player values, demands quick decisions and adaptations. Man, traders may fear missing out on a potential game changing trade or player acquisition. Don't we all know that too well? Leading them to act hastily. The emotional investment in their fantasy team combined with the desire for immediate results often fuels this impatience as traders seek to gain any possible advantage in their quest for victory. And I know for a fact, let me pop up on this camera. I know for a fact that is deemed to be true, especially when you're in a fantasy football league where the pot is for money. You know, you're looking not just for that trophy, not just for that clout, but it's a good, heavy, healthy piece of compensation involved. And you know, with that money, you know, when there's money involved, people tend to do pretty much anything that, you know what I'm saying, to win, to get the edge over anyone. So that's why you know, as a commissioner, we love to have certain rules in place. We love to have certain things you can and cannot do. The scoring system, just it has to be right. It has to be, you know, fitting for this type of environment. So yeah, fantasy football traders definitely can be impatient for these very reasons alone, especially when it's money, when there's a pot involved, not just, you know, you getting, like I said, that recognition or that respect or that clout saying that you won. So traders may fear, like I said, traders may fear missing out on a potential game changing trade or player acquisition. So with that being said, let's go to the next slide. This sets us up perfect. FOMO. If you never heard of FOMO, fear of missing out. It's straightforward. When a player sees a potential trade opportunity, they may fear that they will miss out if they don't act immediately. This fear can cloud judgment and lead to hasty decisions. Just like the previous passage just stated, you know, you got some players out here in the fantasy football world, even in sports in general. I'm not just going to hold it to fantasy football. Even in football, basketball, what have you, baseball, whatever sports, in real life, man, teams tend to trade out of fear. Teams tend to move out of fear. And with that being said, it's a big thing that happens in fantasy football, especially when you get probably in week three, maybe week four, and you find yourself, you might be 1-4, you might be 0-3, 0-4. Your team might not be doing too well, and then you turn into panic mode because you know, man, I got to do something. If I continue to lose, you know, my season can go down the drain. I can't do this. I can't do that. I can't move how I want to move. So I understand it, but this is what it's called in layman's term: fear of missing out, FOMO. So I would just tell you guys as a commissioner, man. Last season, one of our champs last season, and this he didn't do it last season, but it was the year before, if I'm not mistaken. He he definitely I can't remember. He put it like this: he lost a lot of games, and he was able to turn his season around. Last season, I did it. I lost a lot of games. I had two ties. I had two ties, you guys. I was 1-4-2. Had two ties, and I went on a main one streak, and I ended up ending my season at 8-4-2. So it could happen. I made it to the playoffs. Granted, I didn't get past the first round in the playoffs, but I still made it to the playoffs. So this is something that you got to keep in mind. Fear of missing out is a big thing. Don't let it, you know what I'm saying? Don't let it get the best of you, especially when it's time to will and deal. You got to be smart. You got to make those trades, and you got to do what's best for your team. Definitely got to do what's best for your team. So yeah, have that confidence, and having that confidence brings us to our next topic: overconfidence. Some players may overestimate their ability to identify and execute successful trades. Let me say it again. Some players may overestimate their ability to identify and execute successful trades. This overconfidence can lead to impatience and a willingness to take risks that might otherwise they basically is just saying they might want to otherwise avoid. You know what I'm saying? So you know, you can have that confidence in your team and say, hey, I'm gonna trade this. The rest of, you know, this position right here, I'm stacked right here. I got a few quarterbacks on my team. I don't need this quarterback because I have this quarterback. And you make that trade thinking that you're getting some valuable pieces, but in the end, you could have, you know, basically traded away that winning quarterback. Had you been patient, I could have went another way. Get what I'm saying? So That's just it's just a willingness of taking those risks. Some people do it. I can't sit here and say I haven't did it. Just coming into weeks sometimes or coming into trades and trade proposals and like, man, yeah, this guy is what it is. He's that guy. He has to be traded for these certain amount of pieces, or he has to be traded for this or that. Like, you can't look at players like that. That's when the value kicks in. That's when you start, overshadowing what that player really is, and you're just basically trading names at that point because that's a big time name player, or he's this, he's that. Don't be the overconfident trader. Have confidence. Don't get me wrong, but you can trick yourself out of position and trick yourself out of the playoffs too, and a lot of wins when it comes to fantasy football. Just being overconfident, thinking that if I get this player for this player, then my team is going to do this, my team is going to do that. So do that. You really got to do your homework, and this goes for vets. I said vets and novice players, as well as myself. I take this with a grain of salt, and I look at it, and yeah, this is a study for me too. Like, if I want, if I'm looking at myself as a commissioner, right, and I haven't won in my league yet, and when I say I haven't won, that means I haven't won a championship, right? But I've won a championship in another league. So with that being said, I got that taste, I know that feeling. But you don't want to set yourself up to think, oh, I know how to do this, I know how to do that, I know how to trade here, I know what piece I need, I know what piece I need here. You got to do your research, and research, it comes with a whole lot of stuff. I'm talking about, it's not just analytical with the numbers. The health, how the team is doing, their bye weeks. You know what I'm saying? So you don't want to trick yourself out of position, as I said a little while ago, because you can end up trading for pieces and you having five players that got the same bye week, and then you're stuck and waivers looking for pieces to plug and play. So that's what that means on that right there. So moving right along, moving definitely right along, and that comes into the pressure of wanting to trade. So with that being said, this is a big one right here. Pressure from league mates. Man, my guys in our chat, our fantasy chat or whatnot in NPR league, we always talk about crackhead deals, for lack of better words, or we always said somebody always sending a bad deal, somebody always trying to, get over or finesse. You know the fantasy terminology. I ain't even got to dive deep into that, but this is just basically what it is: pressure from league mates. League mates can put pressure on players to make trades, especially if they are struggling. And if you that team that damn, my team is not doing good. I'm 0-5. And you see yourself 0-6 or whatnot. I need to do something. League mates definitely can get in your ear and be like, "Hey, man, look, you need this trade. You might as well give me him for this." And then here we are. You either you could turn your season around on that, or you can be worse off than what you really was. But it's all about being patient. It's definitely all about being patient. So like I said, league mates can put pressure on players to make trades, especially if they are struggling. This pressure can lead to impatience and a willingness to make trades that they might otherwise avoid. So don't be that player. Don't be that person. Like, I'm the type of person. I like to put a proposal out there, and if it hit, it hit. If we could talk about it, we could counter it up. If it does, it does. If not, then I'm gonna keep it moving. I'm not gonna hound you, trying to trying to make myself good. Is just basically what I'm saying. I'm not gonna hound anybody to make a deal when it comes to that. So yeah, we got through fear of missing out. We got through overconfidence and pressure from other league mates when it comes to making trades. Because trading is fun, man. Like, it's outside of trying to make your team better. It's definitely fun. You're playing GM of your own team. So it's super dope. So with that being said, to avoid impatient and fantasy football trading, it's important to first set realistic expectations. Understand that building a successful fantasy football team takes time and patience. Two big keywords right there: time and patience. Time and patience. The team that you drafted is not the team that you're gonna finish with, or definitely not the team that's gonna win your championship. You're gonna make a move here and there. Everybody does it. I've never seen nobody just draft a flawless, perfect team and then they went all the way with that. I haven't seen it. At least I haven't seen it. So and I've been playing fantasy football for a long time. You make a move here and there. You know what I'm saying? Even if it's that putting that starter that you drafted on the bench, and putting a bench player in the starter position. So you're making a move some way somehow. Do your research. We were just talking about this on the last slide. Do your research before making a trade. Do your research to ensure that it is a good deal for both teams. Guys, ladies, it is tools out here. If you don't know, if you are naive to it, it is tools out here. It's not nothing cheating or anything. There's actual tools that will help you in your trading endeavors. Some people call it, for what it is. It's not a good tool here. It's not a good tool there. The tools are the tools. Numbers are numbers. Men lie, women lie, numbers don't. So it, that's what it is. When you put that trade in these certain tools, and you can Google them. Like you can go on Google and look for your favorite ones. I tend to like to use and shout out to these guys. I tend to like to use the trade analyzer for Fantasy Pros, and then Pro Football Fantasy has a nice one. So it's tools out here for you. Or you can ask other people, hey, how do you feel about this trade? It's all about the numbers, like these apps and these devices that we have, including the apps that we use. And I know ESPN does it now because we use ESPN. Before you make that trade, you can see the numbers and the value of the players. So you do the math and you add it up. Is this one player that I really want because of who he is and what he does? Is this one person or this one player really worth the two players that I'm about to give up? You get what I'm saying? So do your research. Avoid emotional decision making. Like I said, you might be one of those over teams that haven't put a win on the board yet. Don't do it out of your emotions. Follow your heart. Don't do it out of your emotions. I won't even really say I follow your heart or your head. Don't do it out of emotions. Try to make decisions based on logic and reason rather than emotions. Simple. Be patient. This is what this show is about. Be patient. Don't be that impatient person. Remember that fantasy football is a marathon, not a sprint. Patience is key to long term success. That's one thing that I'm preaching myself this year. I'm going to be patient with my team. I'm not going to make trades just because I want to make trades. I'm going to be patient because I know at the end of the day, my ultimate goal is to win a championship in standard and PPR. I'm going to be patient with both of my league teams, and as well as everybody else should be patient too. So these are some good tips. And just hey, at the end of the day, by following these tips, you can avoid impatience and make more informed trading decisions in fantasy football. You know what I'm saying? Because everybody feels like they're being scammed when it comes to trading. And there's a little off that I wrote. So, like the person offering a trade knows something that we don't. You get what I'm saying? So, people do tend to fall in love with their guys that they drafted. They follow their health and performance week to week. I know I do. And I go above and beyond that. Definitely go above and beyond that. So there's a bond there that's not easy to part for some. You got to respect that. That's why we come. That's why I was saying in the previous slide. Peer pressure from your league mates. Some people. I'm one of those people. Sometimes I got a bond with that player, or sometimes I'm already in a mode where no, I'm not going to make this trade right now. I mean, that's just what it is. Assessing rest of season value. This is big right here, man. Value is key. Volume and value. You know what I'm saying? Can be really tough because it's like trying to predict the future. Figuring out who would do well and who might get hurt is hard for the casual player. And I wouldn't even, and when they said a casual player, I wouldn't even just say a casual player for anybody. No one knows. Like, God forbid. Pat Mahomes could blow a tire tonight. I don't want to say, he's going to be hurt or anything. So I'm just going to say he could blow a tire tonight. You know what I'm saying? So we all know what that means or where I'm getting at. But anything could happen. Your number one draft pick can get hurt. Anything can happen, and you gotta know how to adjust. It's a long season. It's 18 games. Well, not it's 18 NFL regular season games, but in a typical fantasy league, it's 14 games. And with week 15, 16, and 17 being the playoffs, including to the championship. So, hey, that's a big one right here, man, that I wrote down. This number 4, going down with the ship mentality. Some people would rather wallow in a bad team than admit they need to fix their roster via trades. Now, you can be that player or and keep that same team, You know what I'm saying? And I know I said be patient with your team, but it's a time where you gotta make a move. You gotta make a move. You gotta make this. This is where being a GM and being smart and making smart decisions come into play. This is what it is. So, it's usually much more productive to have trade conversations. And with that being said, I mean, hit that person up in their DM. Like, don't just automatically think because you sent a proposal that, somebody's going to look at it and they're going to do it based off of either, accepting what you sent them or countering back and forth. You gotta have some type of dialogue. You gotta make it make sense. You gotta, talk to the person why you think that this trade should happen, what it does for your team, what it does for their team. Like, I just look at trading for what it is. Like, help me help your team. You know what I'm saying? And I'm just saying in an equal sense of things. I shouldn't leave a trade with more than I gave, or vice versa. No one should be seeking something for whatever it is. Like, the trade should be equal, and that's why we got these twos involved. Some people like the twos, some people don't. I mean, I like the twos because at the end of the day, like I said, numbers do not lie. The value do not lie when it comes to these players. You're not going to just try to finesse me off of the notion that, oh, this player did this last year, or this player did that last year. I don't care about that. As soon as we make that trade, that player can get hurt. As soon as we make that trade, that player can have a bad season. As soon as we make that trade, that player can get suspended for whatever our reason. I'm going to make the best decision for my team, and you guys should too. That's why we're here. That's why we play fantasy football. You know what I'm saying? So that's just what it is. So it's just having a conversation will let you know right away if the person is even interested in having this trade. I had to write this down. Just having that mirror conversation with them. So determining any of these things could take weeks, sometimes, days or weeks. It just depends. And we know, I know my league, the first of December around there, that's when, we do the trade deadline cutoff before, right? I want to say right before playoff, but it's in that area. It's definitely in that area. And we'll set that a little bit later for the league guys. But you got to respect them, man. People also have very different philosophies when it comes to trading. Point blank, period. Some expect both sides to be equal value, like I just said, while others recognize that it's a good trade if it makes sense for their team. Even if the player you give up might be worth nothing but being in the vacuum cleaner. For lack of better words. Some trades just be trash. That's just what it is, man. Like my boy Jay Wood said in our fantasy football league, man, he called everything a crackhead deal. Granted, everything is not a crackhead deal, but you gotta call it for what it is. Sometimes things have a little bit of crackishness in it. So but yeah, that's just what it is, man. Once you have identified who in your league is even open and willing to trade and how much they approach it, trading can be much more productive and way less frustrating, man. Way less frustrating, man. So not gonna hold you guys long, man. Like I said, I go by Commissioner Bo, man. Catch us weekly with these things, man. I'm gonna try to pump them out every Thursday before our Thursday night game because that usually starts. That's the night that starts the new NFL week. Catch us daily, catch us weekly on the NPR Fantasy League podcast, man. We on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, you name it, Apple Music. We on all platforms, man, including X. We're formerly known as Twitter. We're up there, NPR League. We on Instagram, NPR League. So we're on every platform. Just catch us. Commissioner's Corner, like I said, is back. It's back. I'm not stopping this buck. I'm not stopping this train. And it's just a little inspiration for. I'm looking forward to this because you got to think as well as there's millions and millions of people that play fantasy football and has been playing it for years. There's a lot of people that want to get into fantasy football and don't know or have a clue on what they're doing. And that's what I'm here for, Commissioner Bo, man. So make sure you catch me weekly. Like I said, I'm gonna do this thing weekly. Make sure you like, share, subscribe, so you can know when we're going live. When new videos are uploaded and everything on these platforms. Please make sure you like, share, and subscribe. Please make sure you do that. Without further ado, like I said, game tonight. Chiefs get their rings. It's ring night. They play. Matter of fact, this is the rematch of the ALC Championship game last year. So, Chiefs, Ravens, ready to see the newly acquired Derrick Henry, see how he does in Raven Nation. I'm ready to see what Pat Mahomes, Travis Kelsey, and the new weapons and the new additions that Andy Reid, Big Red has. So, yeah, let's get it. Football in a few hours. Peace and love.
Yeah, these championship rings on my hands now. In my head, I'm top 10, yeah, that's hands down. You a squad, now you're looking man down.